Hello, I'm Matt Hatton, one of the founding partners at Transforma Insights. We are here at the IoT M2M Council booth at the Consumer Electronics Show 2025. I'm here with Carmen Redondo, who's the Director Global Marketing Antennas at KYOCERA AVX.
Yes,
I think
correct,
I got all that
correct.
right, did I? Excellent. What a way to start the year. Coming here to
Yes,
Las Vegas for
exactly.
CES. Tell me a little bit about KYOCERA AVX as a way to kick things off.
Yeah. So KYOCERA AVX, we are a leader global manufacturer for advanced electronic components. So we belong to KYOCERA Corporate. So the KYOCERA is a large company doing many different devices. In our division, we are doing connectors, components, sensors, and I'm in charge of the antennas.
Okay, very good. And as I understand it, asset tracking is one of the key areas that you tend to focus on in terms of IoT use cases. So can you tell me a little bit about changes in the hardware space that are happening, or hardware design that are happening in that field?
Yeah, so we see a lot of demand in asset tracking. So it either is dogs or pets or containers or all kind of anything that can be tracked. We even have a tracker for a pigeon in our booth.
Okay.
And so we see a big difference from the very beginning because customers, I think they are more aware about the challenges. It's not as easy as you select the module and then you just connect an antenna.
Any antenna will do.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. And I think things are changing. People are more aware about the constraints. And at the same time, you are having more and more connectivity inside, which is also challenging because now you don't only have the cellular or the low power technologies, but you have also the GNSS and also now with the satellite IoT. So more and more this coexistence make it a bit even more challenging. So this is the kind of changes we are seeing, like smaller devices, more connectivity inside, but at the same time, I think people are getting more aware about the challenges and contact with the experts to help them.
And aware because the use cases are more mature and companies have been gaining the experience of having devices out in the field, realizing that not just any antenna will do.
I think it has been like a kind of lesson learned. You know, we have customers come in and say, yes, we are doing all the changes you need, because sometimes you tell them, can we make this a little bit longer, like 3 millimeters? And they would be like, you know, the aesthetics, oh no, we don't want it like that. And when they have failed a project because they cannot pass the certification, then they realize, well, actually those 3 millimeters were very important. So I think people are more aware about, do you want to have a device that you can sell, or you want to make something out of the box that maybe later it won't work, you know, because I think that it's very important, especially in IoT, because you want to have low power. If you have bad connectivity, you will send more messages, and at the end, you will have lower power consumption. I mean, the battery won't last as you want.
Well, and that's increasingly important, I think, because we're seeing more and more use cases that are testing the limits of the technologies that are available, because you've got battery-powered IoT, you've got NB-IoT and LTE-M, you've got these more constrained technologies, and there's not a lot of wiggle room, as we'd say where I come from. And so maybe the antenna design becomes a more critical part of the considerations for the company developing the product than it otherwise might have been. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume that that's the case, is that right?
That's the case. And it's very important also to understand, for example, what is the user case, right? It's not the same if you have a device that is coming close to the human body because you will get absorption from the body, or a device that is, for example, a sensor, which is always facing the sky. Then you might want to have circular polarized antennas for satellite connectivity so you have better performance. But if you have a device that is handheld, moving everywhere, so at the end of the day, you know, this kind of solution. So it's very, I mean, there's a lot of lesson learned, but it's by experience that is very, there's many different solutions from the antenna side for a single request. So it's very important to put all the parameters, what's the user case, what are the countries where you're going to have deployed your device, and things like that to define what's the best antenna for it.
Well, I was going to ask that, for a hypothetical manufacturer of an asset tracking device, what would be the design considerations then for taking account of some of those requirements for global connectivity?
So first of all, is the size. So I think, some customer says, oh, it's too early. It's like, well, as soon as there is a project, it's never too early, because you already have the idea, more or less how it's going to be the size.
Yep.
And then based on that, you need to say, okay, what kind of technologies you want to cover in what countries. Then you can define what is the right size, where you can place antennas, etc. Because depending the kind of, it's very interesting. Like for example, in the US, you have people like NTIT or Verizon, and they have different requirements. With some of them, it depends on the length of the device. So depending below certain length, I think it's like 107 millimeters, you are considered like a small device. So you reduce a lot of the requirements for the certification. So that's why few millimeters is very important, because you make your device a bit smaller, you reduce a bit the performance, but then you will pass the specifications, right? But Verizon, for example, they are taking care of the surface. So it's not about the length, but it's the area, the surface area. So then you need to play, you want to make a device for all the operators, you need to play with those numbers. What is the right length to make it smaller, but enough area to make it also smaller from the Verizon side. So there's a lot of tricks for that.
Yes, and I think all of that points to the fact that you have to be considering this from day one when you're developing your product.
Exactly.
It's not just something that you add on at the end.
Afterthoughts, no.
Yeah, completely. Can you talk about a few real case examples and why the kind of antennas that you're providing were selected in those examples?
So talking about trackers, we are doing a lot of trackers for containers, for agriculture, for different types of devices. Normally, when you have this kind of like rectangular shape, we are mostly using standard antennas because it's off the shelf, they're available at distribution, and we have reference design with many major module manufacturers. So it's much faster time to market. However, sometimes, as we were saying, the size there is very restrictive, and you cannot use this kind of antennas. Then we are also showing some cases like the tracker for the pigeon, where you're using a very tiny FPC antenna. You can imagine how small the leg of the little pigeon. Or pet trackers as well. So in there we are having NB-IoT, GPS, and then you have an LDS technology. So LDS means with the laser we place antenna directly on the plastic, so you can take all the surface and make it a higher volume for better performance. So it's a kind of different type of solutions we can offer.
Okay, good stuff. One final question I wanted to ask you, another network technology that quite a few people are talking about at the moment, non-terrestrial networks made available through Release 17 of 3GPP. What are you doing in this non-terrestrial network space in terms of what KYOCERA AVX's product lines look like?
So we are quite active because we see a great opportunity there. Like 71% of the world is not covered by terrestrial. And I know it's something that is really starting now. But at the same time, we see a potential because now we are bringing, thanks to the 3GPPs, a standardization for the IoT, and will give us a lot of opportunities to have hybrid connectivity. And there are many different solutions in the market now, depending on the constellation you use, or depending the kind of spectrum that you are using. So we are really having already real functional reference designs and projects also that we have deployed already, even if it seems very new, but there is some projects that are already there.
Yep.
We made 2 releases this year, or our partners. One is with the EchoStar Mobile, where we are using, in the past we did some case studies with the cheap antennas, being able to transmit in the S-band all the way from the North UK to the South with a module bringing some high power. And now we are using one with the low power from Murata to be more cost efficient for IoT, using a better antenna. So it's a high gain, kind of going for smart metering or agriculture, as we were saying, we can have higher gains so you can compensate the lower power from the module. And then on the other side, in the L-band, we are partnering with Skylo, and we have made a reference design with the Green. It's a design company, which is a functional device, which is great because you can see something that is working. And this is the first thing that customers can take as the baseline. So it's there and it's working.
Fantastic. Carmen, Redondo, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.